Uh, we'll come to that, but I think if we go back to correspondence theory of truth, so the basic idea of correspondence theory of truth is that if I make any claim, obviously, in order to make claims, normally we call them truth claims, or more generically or more generally, validity claims. And there are two things which are present in any human sort of claims. One is language. We normally make claims in language of some sort. And the other is thought. So language basically provides the form, while the thought provides the content of that. And that content, basically, we try to judge whether that content corresponds to how reality is. Now, there are many very difficult problems related to this. How we get out of our language, how we get out of our thought, you know what I mean? So ultimately, there will never be absolute justification for this. But so that's why ultimately you start with basic assumptions, basic beliefs, really. That's why you, if you want to use Islamic term, it doesn't matter if you are doing philosophy or science or anything. You can't escape Iman. And Iman means your basic fundamental assumptions, beyond which, you just say, that's my assumption. You can't absolutely justify. It doesn't mean that assumption is without reasons or without evidence, but you can't provide absolute justification or decisive reasons for those fundamental beliefs. So the basic assumption of correspondence theory of truth is that a claim, for example, the tree, a specific tree I'm referring to, is green. That's the claim. So this sentence is true if and only if the tree is actually green. And how we ascertain that, through correspondence, whether this is, so I'm referring to this tree and it is green, for example, then this sentence is true, or this claim is true. So that's the basic, the crux of the idea. Obviously, justifying it philosophically, and things, the complexities which arrive in analyzing these sentences and the correspondence to reality, defining what reality is, etc. That's a very difficult things. But unless you believe in some sort of correspondence theory of truth, then the whole truth game is, turns upside down. The whole truth game turns upside down. So the correspondence theory of truth. So the basic idea of, as I explained, correspondence theory of truth is a sentence, statement, claim. Mostly philosophers these days use the word proposition, which is again an abstract idea or entity, which basically by which they try to convey the idea of content. Corresponds to a fact, and by fact mean real world situation. Sometimes philosophers call it state of affairs. One of the really annoying thing about modern philosophy, especially contemporary philosophy, is the mushrooming of terminologies. Every group of, the philosophy, these are, there's small cliques, 10, 20 people in the world, even less. They just talk to each other, really. And because they have chairs in philosophy, they're considered, important. So then they don't need to, really have well-defined terms. They can use, and they know through talking to each other how they're using those terms. Anyway, so this is the basic idea. Now the difficulties are, we don't need to go into it. There are a lot of difficulties, so the key idea is relationship to reality. That relationship, if it establishes one-to-one exact relationship, and that's true, the statement or proposition. And some of the main criticism of the correspondence theory of truth, how do you define a fact, for example? Because you're defining fact or reality in a language as well. So, and the second, that's one line of thought. The second line of thought is, okay, even if you can define what is fact and reality, how are you going to establish a correspondence between statement and fact? Probably through meta level statement, as Tarski does, in the meta language, and then probably you will need another. Or if you focus on thought rather than language, then So there's a correspondence between thought and fact, but it's also in thought, and it can lead to infinite regress and those sort of problems. Okay. Now he's saying that while the definition contains the classical correspondence theory of truth,